I'm just gonna be straight up about this one. I felt Xeodrifter was pretty underwhelming. Okay, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It just feels off at times. I mean, take a look at that title screen. What title screen starts with L and R as the buttons to begin the game? In the grand scheme of things, that is a nitpick, but it also perfectly symbolizes how I feel about this game as a whole. The game is about an astronaut who's stuck in the middle of space because his spaceship's fuel crystal looking thing blew up, so now he has to explore 4 different planets in order to find a new fuel crystal thing. I don't have any problems with the story. It's simple, and that's very fitting for the type of game that it is. Much like the story, the gameplay itself is also very straightforward. You explore the 4 different planets Metroidvania style. Occasionally, you'll find upgrades along the way and have access to different areas on the planets. The movement of the character is kinda slippery and weird at first, but you do get used to it over time. So far, it sounds like a typical indie game, right? Therein lies the problem. It's too typical. It doesn't really try anything to make itself stand out. The only thing I felt that was genuinely unique would have to be the ability where you go back and forth between different planes of the screen to traverse different areas. But aside from that, it's almost like it's going really far to make this statement that it just wants to be super simple, which I guess is fine, but everything it does has either been done better or more uniquely in a different game. While the planets you explore do have slightly different aesthetics from one another, they still somewhat blend together because the enemies you fight are basically the same throughout all 4, with little variation. Also, the bosses. Despite the fact that it takes place on 4 planets, every boss you find is just this bug guy, but with a different color. They do add a new attack with every new one that you fight, but it doesn't change the fact that you're looking at the same bug guy who just so happens to live on all 4 planets. Also, I don't like the music. If you've ever met somebody that thinks that 8-bit music is just beeps and boops, this is pretty much what they're hearing all the time. Overall, I'm not upset at Xeodrifter because it's simple. I'm upset because I don't really see the point of it when there's so many better options for either the exact same price or cheaper. Xeodrifter usually goes for around $10. Fortunately, I was able to get it on sale and use the My Nintendo points I had to get it for around 70 cents. Even though I'm coming off as kinda negative, I don't consider it a bad game. If you want to try it out, only spend around that much. Otherwise, I'd personally recommend the Blaster Master Zero games if you really want to spend $10 on a Metroidvania.